Hi, wonderful people. Welcome to the monthly astrology snapshot. My name is Paula Shaw, and I am loving doing these monthly snapshots as a way to offer you guys, some insight, some information around the greatest cycles that are playing out so you can find yourself in those cycles. And this may help you to take a breath, and maybe trust a bit more and lean in, because maybe you're going, well, this is happening at a collective level, so I can ease into it. I really find that when you're aware of the cycles that are coming up, you can feel more empowered and you can actually start to pivot, adjust, and navigate life in a way that you just feel like you're more in flow. So this lunar month kicks off with a new moon in Sagittarius on the 23rd, 24th of December, depending where you are in the world. And then there will be the full moon in Gemini. So we're on the axis for this lunar month of Gemini Sagittarius, which is all about information, knowledge, communication, connection, how we, organize our thoughts, Gemini, and the higher, greater spiritual truths, Sagittarius. It is a really quite an expansive lunar month for expanding your mind, expanding your perception, and maybe even really getting into practices such as mindfulness and meditation. But before I go more into that, I really want to talk about last lunar month, which was eclipse season, and it was intense. Yes, they are always intense eclipses, and I observed that this one went deeper. And maybe this is because it was a South Node total lunar eclipse. I apologize. North Node total lunar eclipse in Taurus, and the new moon solar eclipse with the South Node in Scorpio. My feeling based on what I'm seeing is that the South Node, which is a release point, it is the past, the collective karmic past. So the South Node playing in the eclipse cycles in Scorpio is really this biggest cycle that we're in the middle of with eclipses, of letting go of the misuse of power. It is so powerful. Scorpio rules the depths of our psyche. Scorpio is connected to the shadows, to the underworld, to the places we don't really voluntarily, enter into. And when you've got the South Node there and you've got eclipses activating Scorpio, this is a time where our shadows will be dredged up, where what is blocking our true power, where the taboo, all issues that we're scared of or we're not wanting to address, our fears will be emerging. But they're coming up so we can release, South Node, purify, and detox. So this is happening at the collective level. It's really obvious, you can see it. But for you at the personal level, you may have found in this eclipse cycle that your shadow was being dredged up, that some of your fears were emerging involuntarily. But please know that these cycles, from how I see it, they're intentional. They're helping you bring these pieces up that, what I've observed in my clients, they're blocking your power. Unhealed, contracted traumas, fears, stories, if they're not addressed, if they don't come up, they will stop you from feeling your true full life force. So when this is happening, and if it's happening for you, my suggestion in this lunar month is to expand, to work with it, to lean into it, find really incredible support, engage with practices that give it space to move. Really don't block it. So the North Node has been moving through Taurus, and Uranus is halfway through its biggest cycle in Taurus. So we've had a lot of energy moving forwards, North Node in Taurus. So the North Node is our collective karma, where we're all moving towards destiny, collective. So Taurus rules resources, the earth, our values, what we value, and how we value our resources. So Uranus is the planet of awakening, and Uranus is there going, we must disrupt the old story. South Node in Scorpio, release the old misuse of power. North Node in Taurus with Uranus, and Uranus has been in aspect to 6 eclipses. It's just, you cannot make this stuff up. We must innovate the way that we work with resources. And as I've shared, and if you want to dive into those themes more, I actually did a masterclass, which is really just a 1 hour workshop on these themes. And what's become really clear is if you can detox, purify, and let go of your fears, your stories, but also your personal misuse of power, Scorpio, South Node, or where people have been misusing power over you, let it go, then you can work with this North Node, a new destiny, a new way of being with resources. You can let go of excess, toxic, excessive use of resources, Scorpio, and embrace a new way of being with money, of being with beauty, of Taurus, of being with relationships. Like, there is a completely new cycle at play, and there will be another round of eclipses in 6 months. So it's not over. We're still in this bigger cycle. But if you found this last lunar month dredged up secrets, fears, anything hidden in the shadows, and you didn't completely work with it, then this is your lunar month to actually take a breath, to expand your mind, to, really through that expansion, increase your capacity to be able to work with this transformation. The last lunar month was really saying, please allow yourself, allow a transformation to happen. Let go of who you thought you needed to be pre-2020. The biggest cycles are saying you cannot vision the future based in those old storylines. So let's look at this lunar month. So we begin with the new moon in Sagittarius, and this is beautiful. I feel like, there's some kind of purpose to it all, because this new moon to me feels like a boost. It's almost like life's going, you did all this eclipse, deep, heavy, shadow work, and now here's a new moon to give you a really much needed boost. So Sagittarius is the arch, it's symbolized by the arch, the great centaur with his bow and arrow, and he is ready to go on this grand quest, this vision quest for knowledge, for higher meaning, for higher truth. Sagittarius wants to take you into the realms where there is something greater going on, and I can have faith. I can really expand my consciousness and open myself to something else about what's going on. We are meaning-making machines, and how we perceive reality does determine how we experience it on one level. So, this is your month to really journey with that, to really practice expanding your capacity to be with something greater. We dredged it all up with the eclipses, and now you get to go, what else is possible with this? So what is also extremely exciting about this new moon is that Jupiter is conjunct this new moon. Now, Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. So when it's not conjunct, he's going direct. I apologize. Jupiter is going direct at this new moon. And when the ruling planet of the new moon is in a powerful pattern, it's just really significant. So with Jupiter going direct within minutes of this new moon, you can really open yourself to a greater vision. If you're somebody that has a very strong spiritual practice, this is the time to engage with it. If you don't, maybe it's time you started opening yourself to alternative ways of being with your life and the meaning you give it. Not to space out, not to dissociate, but to expand and increase your personal capacity to be with these patterns, because when I look at next year, and I will be doing a 2023 forecast, the name of the game is change. And you can work this lunar month to open yourself and increase your mind, your space, your heart, your soul, to work with the new patterns that are coming through, because they're happening whether you like it or not. And it's no good trying to blame somebody for what's going on Earth. The reality is it's happening, and you can either be on the roller coaster screaming, or you can let go, put your hands in the air and just go with it. And listen to these kinds of forecasts. Find other great astrologers or intuitives, or even great intelligent thinkers or philosophers, and expand your ability to journey with something else that's going on, as opposed to just being scared, resisting, contracted, being in fear. It's not going to work, and I can tell you it's not slowing down. So, we've just been on such a huge journey over these last few years, and this new moon gives you an opportunity to revision. Again, you cannot, the caveat of this new moon is you cannot vision in your old stories. You really have to sit down. Again, this eclipses were clearing out the old. At this new moon, really sit down and really, and I don't mean like create a completely different vision. I'm not saying that, but it cannot be of the old stories. Let them go. Maybe you thought you would have a certain storyline when you retired, for example. Let it go. The world's changing, but it's not scary. So a big significant piece is this Jupiter turning direct. With Jupiter moving direct, I think we could, really, as I shared already, reignite something about our faith, what we believe as a collective. I think it's going to be extremely interesting to see how Jupiter starts to pick up something positive. I don't know if you guys remember Christmas last year, but I do. And everyone I spoke to had a heavy time. I really feel this Christmas has a very different energy. In fact, the solstice, the winter summer solstice, happens just before Christmas. So really a new season for humanity is activating. And in fact, the next few new moons are all at the 0, the first degrees of their signs. So you can see there's a pattern emerging here that it's like, let's move it forwards. So I just want to check a date. Okay, before the full moon in Gemini, Venus, the goddess, will be rising as the evening star. So she has been she's so close right now still to the sun that we can't see her. So she has not been visible for a while. I can't remember exactly when, but what's more important, it's been weeks, but what's more important is that she went into her conjunction with the sun on the 22nd of October in Libra. Now, this is very significant because this activates a completely new cycle in Venus's journey in Libra. So Venus is the ruler of Libra, and Libra rules fairness, okay, justice, equality. It is the scales, relationships, how things relate to each other. And I'm telling you guys, this Venus Sun conjunction will trigger off a completely new cycle in your relationships and how you relate to each other. I've been watching this for a while. The way people are doing romance is evolving so much. There is a huge shift going on. So again, if this eclipse season dredged up some pain to do with that, please trust the process, because life is wanting to get you and me and all of us ready for very new ways of being together, of supporting each other, of relationships. And now please, I'm not pushing some utopian outcome here. I would love that. And if I could make that happen, I promise you guys I would. However, this isn't about that. This is just a huge reality shift in how you do your relationships. So, you know, watch for this in the coming months. Over the next 9 months, watch for something new to come in, or just new ways of interacting even in your personal relationships, not just romance, but I really do see the whole idea of marriage and the institution of marriage is going to keep going through a massive revolution, you know, and I feel for the better personally, that it's going to open up more ways that we can love each other and be together and relate, and just, it's really exciting. Ancient astrologers saw that when Venus was conjunct the sun, that she was, and when she was invisible to the naked eye, that she is in an underworld process, that she was going through a really deep transformation. And she was in Scorpio. She will be rising in Sagittarius, yay, which is where the new moon is. So again, more energy for you to vision something very new for your life. But her being in Scorpio was, I mean, I could feel it. And this was when the eclipses were happening. Venus invisible in Scorpio, where the South Node is. It's like the feminine principle, the goddess, as the ancients saw her, she's really getting real about something. She's really having a conversation with the sun, which ancient astrologers saw that as the king / queen, the great monarch. They were having serious talks about equity, about resources. The eclipses were happening. So when she starts to become visible, which you may be able to see it depending if you can get high enough to see on the horizon, around the 28th, 29th of November. If not, it definitely will be coming, she'll be slowly starting to become visible at sunset, as the sun sets over in the west, look for her. Ancient astrologers believed that when you first saw Venus, that you could actually do like a little ritual and a prayer and receive some blessings from the goddess. So it's one of my favorite things to do, is to catch her rising as the morning or the evening star, and to watch her in that first moment. And you could do an offering. You can take roses, which is connected to Venus, or chocolates, or you can Google anything that Venus is associated with. There's, you know, pink crystals, green crystals. It's the heart, it's love. And you can give her an offering. Or one thing I did was I took a beautiful piece of rose quartz one time, and I did a little ritual that infused some love into that crystal for me, and I carried it through that cycle with me, and it was really significant. So, you know, get it, even if you're not into ritual, get out and have a look, connect with the skies. It is so magnificently beautiful. In fact, at the moment, Mars is rising in the evening, and he is just red and he's glowing, and it's just so beautiful. It truly moves me. And yeah. Okay, so let's go to the full moon in Gemini. I am really looking forward to this full moon. Now, this full moon is conjunct Mars, and Mars is the god of war. It's very masculine energy. So you may hear some scary stuff around this, and maybe there is at the collective level. However, there are more, every symbol has multiple layers of meaning. And whenever I share my version of what I'm seeing, again, I'm looking at all of the cycles, and not just Mars equals this. So there's always a context. But we really have this wonderful, wonderful opportunity at this full moon to create mental space, you know, and to, again, this increasing our capacity for change, for this accelerated time of evolution. So this full moon with Mars, so Mars can be very much like a sword cutting through. It can be the discriminating mind, not in the negative, but like really getting clear. What is it? What isn't it? What works? What doesn't? So you can harness the energy of Mars at this full moon in Gemini. So Gemini rules the mind. Gemini is how you organize your thoughts, communicate, educate, small business, self-employment, how you connect with people with information. bringing Mars into a full moon, this is a moment to get very clear on what doesn't work, what doesn't support the vision that was coming through at the new moon in Sagittarius, and to work with the energy to clear it out. I am, as you guys know, I am all about full moon rituals. I honestly have been working with them for years and consistently, and I have really noticed that it's pulled my experience of my reality into a rhythm, into the lunar rhythm, and I get to release every month, and I get to get clear on what's going on at the new moon and set new intentions or rejuvenate ongoing values and intentions and goals even every month. It is a rhythm, it builds in momentum, it is powerful. And if there's one thing that could really come through this lunar month is the power of your mind, your perception, the power of mindfulness, meditation, and how important it is to shift your perception, to cut through the nonsense, step away from the noise of what's going on, because this full moon could really trigger some crazy media nonsense. I mean, we've already seen a lot going on, so I think this full moon could really bring about a lot more of that. Step away step away, even just for 5 minutes. Go and look at the moon. You don't have to get big rituals going on, but please take some time to clear out the noise and the mental clutter and make some space for whatever visions are emerging around that new moon, Jupiter going direct, Venus becoming visible, Neptune going direct, which will clear the fog. When is that? Neptune stations direct on the 3rd and the 4th of December. And then the full moon's on the 7th, 8th, depending where you are. So Neptune turning direct is an opportunity for you to clear the fog. Okay, so again, there's this theme of clearing out, seeing clearly, and to actually, the good thing about Neptune going direct is we can feel more connected to each other. Compassion can increase. Neptune is the planet that dissolves the illusion of boundaries and separation. So there can be a very big heart opening, of great expansion, a lot of healing. Remember, Jupiter's just gone direct at the new moon. So a lot of space and hope and faith and spiritual openings. It's supporting a greater vision, a greater meaning. And then we get to the full moon where it's whatever is not in the way, let's clear it. Sit down, write it down. Do some journaling. Talk to a friend. One of my favorite rituals used to be getting some takeout and going, I live on the East Coast, and going and watching the moonrise with friends and just talking about what we're letting go of and where we're at in our lives. Beautiful, beautiful ritual. So you can also join me in the Lunar Project. It's an online gathering, and it's really an invitation to explore more deeply what I'm talking about here. But then I'm going to take us for this full moon in Gemini on a mindfulness journey to, support you to open up and expand your mind's capacity to navigate these times, to clear the way for your vision, and to really journey with meditation. This is Gemini and Sagittarius. It's all about the mind, as I have shared. Another thing with this full moon is that Saturn is in a positive aspect, which is always a good thing when it's in a supportive pattern with this full moon, because it really will help us do that reality check, to really discriminate what needs to go, to get really clear and to be really honest about what vision will truly work for you. So, yeah. And if you're feeling really activated, if that Mars energy is triggering you and there's an overstimulation with all of the mind, because not everybody likes this kind of energy, then just go and be in nature. I know it's super cliche, but truly go and be in nature. Detox from media for a bit, because again, I really feel it's going to amplify. A lot of people are going to be, pushing out their truth, their vision, and trying to tell us all how to be Sagittarius. And Jupiter can be quite, the religious cult leader can be a bit of a shadow. So watch for that. and again, come back to your own truth. So, and then to wrap up this lunar month is the solstice, which I mentioned earlier. Now, solstice for the Northern Hemisphere will be the longest night of the year, the winter solstice, and for us down here in the Southern Hemisphere, the longest day. Now, this is a point that our ancestors honored because they didn't have iPhones and they would watch how the seasons would move because, of course, they could plan. Just like I'm saying, here's a greater cycle at play, you can plan. They would have to plan for food, maybe, the nomads would move location, so on and so forth. So if you love ceremony and ritual like me, so in the Northern Hemisphere, really simple ritual is to create a lantern or buy a beautiful candle or keep a safe light. You don't want to burn down your house, that you keep going all night. Our ancestors would practice this as a way to invoke and call back the light of the sun. And it was just a beautiful way, I feel, that our ancestors would gather together and share food and share story and share time. So it's a beautiful time together. Light a fire if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and call back the sun. For the summer solstice, it's the longest day of the year. The harvesting is happening. There's an abundance of food. People are outside. It's warm. And it's a beautiful time to gather and share food and celebrate and be in joy and dance. So I always recommend gathering with people. This solstice is only within days of Christmas. So I get this really beautiful sense of joy. And it is also very close to the new moon. So there is this whole pattern of a new season for humanity, and so many cycles. So it's happening in December, and there's a lot of energy going on in Capricorn, and Capricorn has been this really strong, focused hotspot of astrology since January of 2020. And when the pandemic and the world changed, really it did change. We will look back and we will know that's when it really did change. And so there is this potential at the end of the year that we may see our bigger Capricorn energies, which are corporations, governments, those bigger institutions of power might start to move into this new season, and you'll probably start seeing this trickle down of the new energies that are going to start pouring through next year, which I cannot wait to share the 2023 forecast with you guys. But for now, work with this lunar month to expand your mind, expand your capacity, so that as we move into next year, you're already there. There will be more eclipses on the Scorpio-Taurus axis, as I shared. So we may find in May next year, there's another level of dredging up that shadow, but please know it's not to punish you, it's to support you, to purify, to detox. It is that saying, the truth, first it will upset you, but it will always set you free. The truth. And honestly, the truth, and this is Sagittarius, the truth. The truth is love. The truth isn't your ego, nonsense story. Go and tell my truth to my people in my life. I'm going to tell them how I feel. The truth is love. Hey, maybe this, even though it's true, isn't appropriate, because the truth is I love this person. We're all in this together. So work with this lunar month to open your mind, meditate, get into your spiritual practices, access a greater vision for yourself now that the eclipses have taken you through, the underworld and back, and go and sit with Venus as she becomes visible in Sagittarius, where she's going to show us some new vision, especially around her seeding in point with the conjunction in Libra, our relationships, equity, fairness. So I hope this snapshot really helps you guys. I hope it gives you some insight, and I really pray that you journey so consciously with this lunar month and really get the best out of it. I'll see you again next lunar month, as always, and I will be working really hard on that 2023 forecast to get to you guys, hopefully before the end of the year. But until next lunar month, bye. I love you all. Take care.